All right, what was that guy's handle?
Lone Star Ball off-topic Discord.
One of the Lone Star Ball off-topic Discord?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know him, Shoopy?
Probably.
That looks like some of your doing there.
Yeah. I'm a fan of the Lone Star Ball off-topic Discord.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're good people.
What about it?
Yeah.
You got a problem with that, Mike?
No,
Yeah, what
no,
the hell?
I just...
Something you want to say, bro?
No, not at all.
You wanna step
Not
to
at
this?
all. I'll step to this.
You want to go?
I'll step to this and give him a big hearty salute.
What's up, loser?
What's up, bud?
Another week, buddy. Getting through it.
We are. We're doing them. We're making them. We're putting them out there.
I just have a good
And
time. I love it.
I love it too, man. Aren't we? We're having fun.
That's what it's all about. So, welcome to episode 3 or 4. I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna do the recordings or the, I guess, episode count numbers when we're gonna have, different people on and things, like with John last week and in our gambling segment. So we'll call this episode 3. Maybe we'll leave that one as a different count. So September 24th, 2024. Just wanted to, as always, just give Clax his due for making this thing go. And I think he's having a good time doing it as well. I think I know he has a very music-heavy background. And so he likes putting together, I think, different snippets and putting this together for us. So we always want to give him his thanks. So we're doing that. And Steve, something you want to say, bro?
Well, I'm actually curious of something an event you had come down upon your home in the last week, and that is the parents visiting from Texas.
We're going to get into that. I promise. Give me a second on that. But I did want to say, going back to the podcast real quick, I think we had, the first episode doesn't have many views. We're on YouTube now, which scares the shit out of me, to be honest with you. I have no idea who's going to see this stuff. I think last time I checked, we had like 20 some odd views on, I think, episode 2, and then the first go at the gambling podcast. So I think we're getting people to watch. I probably watched 15 of those each myself. I just sometimes put it on in the background just to hear myself and hear you and John speak, so I can myself anyway say, this sounds terrible, do more of this, do less of that. Those sorts of things. I know you listen.
And we know we have some buddies from the Discord that are definitely giving it a spin. Like our buddy John Greeny had mentioned that he'd listen. I believe our friend Darkooth, maybe Malm, don't know. But we appreciate those guys giving it a spin, giving it a shot. Listen to our little nonsense here.
And it's been fun. I think everyone seems to enjoy it. So we're just going to have a good time doing it. So back to the parent question.
Yes.
So they got in town on Thursday. I think it was Thursday. And we had planned on them staying at our house. And if I mentioned
and
this
you
before,
were like, no, fuck you guys. Yeah, we don't have room for you. I've lost. I don't know.
No, it was. They were going to stay here. My dad's got some health issues and things, and like I said last week, the stairs are going to be an issue, and it's just not great. So they ended up getting an Airbnb close enough by, but they got here. Let me see. They were in Boulder for most of the day Thursday. They got here for the boys' football practice, which is 5:30. So they were here right at that time, I think. And they had dinner with us after that. And by bedtime on Thursday, I was ready for them to get back to Texas.
Wow. That took a bad turn. We were enjoying dinner and football practice, and
we even had a football game on Thursday. But thankfully, when there's football on TV, it's actually okay because we can just sort of watch it and maybe talk about something that's going on in the game.
Yeah, Dad's a big football fan.
He is. That's sort of, I think we probably bonded the most over my 37 years here is over football. But the problem that I have, and I don't mind, and you've watched games with me before, I don't mind having conversations when it's just a game in the background where I don't really have a rooting interest. But the problem that my dad seems to have is he can't not talk for more than about 6 seconds at a time.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And so, I don't really mind. I know when you're watching UT, you don't want to have any conversation. I like to talk about what's going on in the game as it's going on.
Sure.
But
sure,
I don't need a comment after every play that he expects someone to respond to. Because, I'll all kinds of stuff at the television, but it's all rhetorical, and I don't need anybody to respond to me. If no one says anything back to him after he says something, he's like, oh, fuck me. I guess I don't. No one wants to hear me
getting
talk.
off track? Is he getting off track and going off onto non-football topics?
Sometimes it's usually like when the Cowboys games are on. Typically, it's Cowboys related, but it would be a question I would ask in my head, or I would ask to whoever I'm with watching the game. And I, again, don't expect anyone to answer the question or respond to me, cussing out Dak or Zeke or whoever it is. But with him, you have to say something back or he gets upset, and I don't like it.
Really? He gets upset?
Not upset, but you can tell he's got that annoyed. He's annoyed a little bit, and he wants that interaction, and it's like I get 3 hours a week for 18 weeks. Well, we're I guess really 17, but 3 hours a week. Where if I miss every other game that weekend, whether it be college, NFL, whatever, I want my 3 hours watching the Cowboys game. Like, just give me 3 hours.
That sounds a little bit like punishment these days, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
We will. It's been punishment for 27 years.
Yeah,
28
I think we're 28. Mm-hmm.
It's not been good. But they actually, so they didn't stay with us. They had an Airbnb. They actually checked out this morning, and they're up in Wyoming for the next few days.
Wow.
I think they're just going to do some exploring up there. They've never really had much time in Wyoming, which I haven't either because it's Wyoming and I don't know what the hell there is to do in Wyoming. But they'll be back on.
I think it's very vast. I think that's really the only word you could give it. It's vast.
Yeah, I feel like the Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, those sorts of areas there's a lot of natural beauty.
Yeah.
But I'd prefer to be closer to bigger cities.
Civilization. Yeah.
Exactly, right. So they'll be back on air Thursday or Friday. I guess they'll just play it by ear, and they're going to stay not stay with us, but near us again for a couple of nights. And then they're heading back to Texas on Sunday. So, we did have a good few days. I know Monday my kids were off, and they took them down to the Denver area, and they rode on there's a train just west of Denver to a town called Georgetown. I got to go do that, and you're kind of going through the mountains and things, so that was fun. And I had to work, so I didn't go. It was just my parents and the kids, so that was nice. At least they got to spend a lot of time with their grandparents, and we also dropped a bomb on them on Thursday.
Another kid?
No, no. If it's another kid, then we're not doing this podcast anymore. they asked us about the holidays this year, and so we've gone back. Yeah, so will be our third holiday season here, and we've gone back for Thanksgiving and Christmas both years. And we made a decision after, I think, last Christmas. We just said we're going to go back once, and I think we probably chose Christmas because Amy has more time off. And so I think it's like, and the boys do too. So it's like 2 weeks off, and I can't just take 2 weeks off at a time because, capitalism is still a thing that exists. So I can still work anywhere. Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, who knows? After November, who knows? But so I can work anywhere. So I think we'll probably spend more time at my family's general area, and then more time at Amy's or with Amy's family. So I was able to drop that on them, which went over pretty well, actually. I think they finally given up on us ever moving back or being there, every 2 months or something, which is nice.
Yeah. Hey, there you go, breaking away, leaving the nest. But yeah, that's a huge ask. That's not an easy trip, and it's not a cheap trip. And I know your boys are a little bit older, but you still got to travel with kids, which is rough. So
it is rough.
Congratulations on your newfound freedom there.
I appreciate it. It's just nice. I mean, I think we've probably gone back in 2+ years. We've probably been back to Texas at least 8 or 10 times. Jesus. And Amy's parents have been here twice, and this is my parents' second visit up this way. And none of the siblings have ever come up here. I mean, I'm seeing before my parents got up here this week. You've been here longer than they've ever been here at a time. So, and I've seen one of our other friends. He's been up here twice since we moved here as well. So, if they don't want to make the effort, I feel like we don't need to put the effort in either. But that's just kind of what we're doing.
Happens. Yeah, it happens. You got your own life and everything. So,
yeah, because your family's in Texarkana, is that right?
Yeah, they're still all up in Texarkana. Of course, mom and dad are both gone, but my sister's up there. All of her nieces, they're doing well. They're all doing really well. Got nice land, nice houses, nice families, and just over the last couple of years, I kind of had a point to where I wasn't going up there as much, just after my mother died. But surprisingly, to even me, I've gotten a lot closer with my sister in the last few years, and enjoy her company more. She's a little high strung, and
is this the Fox News one?
Yeah, but that's not really her bit so much as her husband. Yeah, but that is her. That's where the Fox News is blaring 24/7 in the living room because it's so loud. Because the husband can't hear the TV because he's shot his guns so much. Because
Second Amendment,
baby. Yeah, Second Amendment, baby. He's fucking exercising his rights. But anyway, I've gotten a lot closer to them, and then new babies seem to pop up all the time, so that's cool. And I've also got a lot closer to my brother's son, who lives up in Little Elm too. So that's been cool. And my brother's back in town. We've been hanging out a lot. I don't know if I've told you that, but we hung out on a Saturday and watched football all day. I think in the first week of the season or something like that. But yeah, so it's cool. Family stuff is actually really good right now.
Well, you said you're getting closer with your sister and brother again, which is nice. But with your age, you're also getting closer to your parents, probably.
Yeah.
Wow. Because you're going to be in hell soon with them.
Yeah, right. And just be waiting for you to show up. And
hey, you made it.
Yeah, it's about fucking time. With your health concerns, I thought you had probably been there before me. So it's going to be a surprise.
If I get to 40, we're in good shape.
40, what, is that your weight of your head or
my tits? Combined, not
Yeah,
separate.
yeah. You do have some nice tits.
I
I don't
mean,
tell you that. I don't tell you that enough.
Our OnlyFans members do, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we keep this thing going. All that
That's
money.
right. You got to fund this motherfucker somehow. I'm giving blowjobs in the alley, and you're doing your OnlyFans.
Well, remember I have your pictures too that we talked about, so I have those also up there.
My
Between
picture?
the two of us, yeah, the ones that you keep
Oh
sending
yeah,
me in the cloud.
right. Yeah.
So to pull the curtain back a little bit on this whole podcast thing that we're trying out, I usually ask Steve for a topic when I throw it over at the beginning when we start. And today he told me he wanted to talk about North Carolina politics.
No, Georgia.
So whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter.
I don't know
Just
why
one
I keep
thing.
going back to politics, but yes, I was going to bring up.
I just want to remember. I want to remind you that you're the person last week who said, "I don't get into politics anymore," and this 2 weeks in a row, you wanted to jump straight into politics.
Mm-hmm. I know it makes no sense. I'm a riddle wrapped in an enigma.
I thought that was my nickname.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, the whole Georgia election board and the fact that they're trying to set it up to where they won't use the machines anymore. They'll have to do all.
No, I
they'll have
didn't.
to hand count every
This
vote.
wasn't an introduction to get you to jump into it. I wanted to just say
Isn't that
that's what you
interesting,
wanted to
though?
talk about. No, it's not.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it only affects our democracy as a whole going forward while we're still alive. But no, very boring and
kind of dry though. Yeah, kind of boring.
Yeah,
You know,
very boring.
There's football on. There's, you know, your parents are visiting. There's much more important topics.
Why don't you keep that in the back pocket? And if we ever need something to talk about, we'll jump into that. We'll do like a week of politics in November before the election. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We record these on Tuesdays. The election's on Tuesday every 2 and 4 years, right?
Oh God, yes.
We're gonna go live.
We're
gonna go live and just do an election stream.
You can reveal who you're gonna vote for. You know,
nobody. I don't have to vote here. Which is my favorite part about living here.
Yeah, that's true.
The opposite of Texas, where you don't have to vote because you know how it's gonna go. We're the exact opposite. Where the person I want to win.
You've been purged from the voter rolls like me. Did I tell you about that? I was on the suspend list. I went to check my voter registration. I don't know. I don't know. They just said that I needed to fill out this form and correct an address or something, but been at that same address for a long time, and I'm still voting over at my old address. I just moved, but still voting over in
Is that why you can't vote?
County. Well, you know, we don't like. I didn't want to bring that up on the podcast just yet.
I don't want to get too personal, but I just want to. Well, I wanted to know if that was the issue.
Yeah, well, that old lady had it coming, right? So that's all.
She was
I
right there
about that.
in the middle of the street.
Right.
Walk faster.
She had it coming.
Don't walk.
The cocky look she gave me, and it's a walker. It's not a crawler. You know what I'm saying? So move along, Grandma.
We're going to just jump into college football now. You know, this weekend slate wasn't all that great. You know, a lot of times when you don't have a great slate, sometimes you get a bunch of games of, you know, like mid-majors or even like a G5 beating a Power 5 school. There wasn't a lot of that going on this weekend. But what you got for me?
Yeah, there really wasn't. And, you know, all the pre-conference weekends are like that in a way. It does suck. I mean, you get the occasional upset, but I don't know. But what I really want to talk about was Oklahoma, and in particular their quarterback situation. So, you know, both them and Texas have been building up to the SEC. 2024 year was the year they were both going to arrive. Oklahoma fell a little bit behind when Lincoln Riley bailed and went to USC, left them in a lurch. But, you know, everybody has high hopes, and of course OU did. They had a good season last year. But in the spring, this past spring, we get the bombshell that Dylan Gabriel is transferring to Oregon, which at least for me came out of nowhere. didn't make any sense. But the talking points start coming out. Is Oregon able to offer him a better NIL deal? But the main one was probably that Jackson Arnold was ready to go. He's a big five recruit. He was the number 10 player in his entire class. He's one of those blue chips you get on your team and build your team around. So Darnold was a very good quarterback. He had 30 touchdowns last year, 3,500 yards.
Dylan?
I'm sorry, Dylan.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel. But but he wasn't a superstar, but he was a really good college quarterback. He was one of the best college quarterbacks last season. But Arnold set for a season as a freshman, and he's a sophomore now, and he's a big time recruit, and it's his time to play. So to say that it's been a disaster up until this point, the Jackson Arnold career would be an understatement.
Did he throw a negative 30-yard pass to start the game this weekend?
Yeah, he threw some sort of backwards lateral that was picked up.
What the hell?
Yeah, and there was some little birds tweeting that during the spring and fall he was having some troubles with accuracy but yeah, so he hasn't thrown for more than 170 yards in the 4 games. They barely got by Houston, a very terrible Houston team, 16-12, and survived Tulane. But his accuracy, the turnovers, the fumbles, and it all came to a head Saturday night when they played Tennessee. And he was 7 for 16 with 54 yards before they pulled him and a couple turnovers. So this school that has just had one superstar quarterback after another for years now, is suddenly in a spot where they had to put in a true freshman, Michael Hawkins I think he's from the Dallas area or somewhere. And not only that, but they still have to play Texas, Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, and Missouri this season. So
those are maybe all losses.
Yeah, those could all very well be all losses. So the defense has been good. You got to give them that. They're looking good there. But yeah, this is just not the expectations they had for their first season in the SEC. And as a Texas fan, I got to say it's horrible. It's just so sad, So
Shut the fuck up.
I'm rooting for them, to get to 500 at least. I think they can do it.
I was gonna jump. Shut up. I was gonna jump into UT. I don't even want to now. But yeah, I just looked Hawkins up. One of these days, we're gonna have a third person who's gonna, as soon as we ask the question, is gonna find the answers for us. Right. But yeah, Hawkins went to Frisco High School. It doesn't matter which one because there's like 10 and they're all the same high school.
Dude, I think there's like 20 now.
It's unbelievable how that area is just. And what it used to be all grass. It used to be fields.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. It's crazy.
It wasn't that long ago. But no, they look good. No, I'm sorry. They don't look good. UT, and I don't want to, dig too deep into UT, but that's my favorite right now. And I think the Vegas favorite is still Georgia, just because that's sort of what they do. But Georgia didn't look that great this weekend. But UT, even with Arch going all 4 quarters this week, not that he wasn't going to be good or anything like that, but he looks great. UT on the whole, returning those many starters, like on the offensive line that you mentioned, they look really good, and I don't know who's going to beat them this year.
They're definitely clicking. They put up 192 points this year and given up 22 points.
That's pretty good.
Right. That's pretty good. But they haven't played a real offense yet, not even close. And I don't know if they're going to face one against OU. Like you said, Georgia's got a ton of weapons, but it could be a down year on offense for them. So we'll see where it goes. They play OU in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just looking through their schedule. So Mississippi State, what happened to them? I think you're right at 38 or 39-point favorite this weekend against Mississippi State. They must have just fallen off. You got Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say win there. Oklahoma, that's going to be a win. And then, Georgia is obviously going to be a huge game. But you're hosting Georgia, which is good.
Yeah.
But
right.
even if you lose that game, you're still a playoff team. Then you got Vandy, which is automatic win. Florida, who looks bad. Arkansas, they don't look that great. Kentucky.
Arkansas is going to be tough. That Arkansas game at night in Fayetteville will be tough. And Arkansas is running the ball.
It's a noon game.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I don't know if they
was a night
changed
game.
it, but I'm looking at the schedule right now. It says it's a noon kick, but
okay.
So they might have changed it, or this might not be updated. I mean, it should be, but who knows? And then Kentucky, that's a win, and then A&M. Who knows about A&M? I mean, obviously, when you play Oklahoma and A&M, those are your, Super Bowls if you're those two teams. So those could be tough, but realistically, you may have two losses. You might get tripped up facing Oklahoma when you got Georgia the very next week. Or you might lose A&M because they're going to just, play their asses off. But other than that, I don't see any losses. And then Michigan had a good bounce back game this week. So that win that you guys had looks even better now after they go knock off USC. Yeah,
Texas got a pretty easy schedule this year. Oklahoma got the rough one. Texas got the light. No Alabama.
Yeah.
Huh?
And that'll always kind of go back and forth, just depending on who's up and who's down.
Right.
It's not like you get to pick who you're playing every year. I think there's some teams that you are going to play every year, but sometimes you're going to get a Mississippi State team that is actually decent, or a Ole Miss school that looks really good, who you guys avoid this year. For the better.
Yeah, so you said the Michigan had a nice win. That was a really good game against USC. Michigan kind of bullied them. They're basically running a freaking single tee at this, or a wing tee at this moment. But
remember, JJ McCarthy last year, he didn't throw a whole lot of balls last year.
Yeah,
he looked good whenever he had to win a game, and obviously they won the national championship. But they just kind of they just control the ground game now. Which, hey, if it works, go for it.
Yeah, the kid they got cannot throw the ball. The guy they started this week, funny enough, named Orgy. So yeah,
with an I.
Yeah, with an I. That's right.
Not you, but I.
And I guess the other game of the week was Colorado and Nebraska, which ended up being wild-assed. You had two Hail Marys, the last two plays of regulation. The first one bounced off Colorado player's chest, I believe. And then, of course, the second one they brought in. Just terrible defense by Nebraska.
I know recency bias is a huge thing. And so everyone thinks whatever's going on now is the most important thing. They forget about stuff in the past. I honestly can't remember the last time I saw two Hail Marys end a game. As far as missing the first Hail Mary, but still having enough time on the clock to run it back.
Right.
It was unbelievable. And I took my parents to the CSU game this weekend. They won, but it was just an awful game. Outside of two plays, we probably lose that game. But they won. But so I get home. I've been out in the sun all day watching the game, drinking beers and stuff. So I turned that game on to sort of finish the night off. And I just couldn't believe it. Because CU does not they look better than they did last year, I suppose. But they're still
their defense is a little bit better.
They're like a 3-person school, though. Outside of Travis Hunter and Shador, and there's probably some other names that I'm just not overly familiar with. They just look like they're like the Cowboys. It's just they're so top heavy.
Yeah.
You got your Micah, your Dak, your CD, and then you just fill in a bunch of players.
Starting to feel like that. It is starting to feel like that.
Yeah, and if we want to, I think other than, this week we get Georgia, Alabama, which is going to be fantastic.
Yep.
We got Louisville, Notre Dame. I'm just kind of looking at the schedule to see first ranked. So we got a few more this week, which is always fun.
Yeah, and conference play starting, so you'll have more competitive games and
Absolutely.
some good endings. And yeah, but that Georgia Alabama game, I mean, that's Saturday night.
And that is at Alabama. So that's going to be fun.
And I think Georgia is a slight favorite. And as a Texas fan, I want to see him win. I want to see him come to Austin undefeated. You know? Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I always think. You know, you got people out there, and I don't think a lot of actual serious sports people who love just everything about sports and who have a diehard favorite team. I don't think you ever want to see injuries happen, and you always want to get. I mean, if something were to happen, you don't celebrate an injury. You don't celebrate the other team losing a game. You do kind of enjoy it, though, like way deep down. But you don't express it. Yeah, sometimes you want to see just good on good.
Yeah,
like give me your best, and we're gonna give you our best, and let's just have at it. Now, do I want to play a Georgia team or an OU or an A&M without their starting quarterback and without a wide receiver? Of course you do. You also want to see who's the best team.
Yeah,
you're 22, my 22, and let's just strap them up and let's go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's for entertainment, right? Isn't that why we watch this? Why not have the best against the best?
We know Yeah, I mean, outside of the Rangers last year, when was the last championship you and I could celebrate? Was it 2011?
Yeah,
with the Mavericks.
It was dark, 2011.
So that's what, 13 years? Well, I guess 12 years of nothing. And we've each got so Cowboys, Mavericks, Stars, Rangers, throw UT, I'll get my Notre Dame. So that's 6 teams you and I root for collectively pretty heavily.
Sure.
And we've gotten no championships in 11 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I always tell people I don't always tell people this, but I think about it. You have to be appreciative of the wins, of the good times. You know, things are going well for you. When you do finally get that championship, you might get, if you root for 3 or 4 teams, you might get 3 or 4 of those in your whole life. So, going into Lone Star Ball this year. And of course, things weren't going well. Reading the forum there, and people were already trying to run Bochy and Chris Young out of town in like June. And I don't know how you can be that kind of sports fan.
You can't be. I used to be like 2010, 2011 with the Rangers, especially. I had a lot more. I think I lived. So I was living in downtown Dallas at the time, and by myself, and didn't have really much to do. I had no money because I was 22, 23, and so I just had nothing else going on. And so during the baseball season, I think I would watch probably 140 games, pretty much start to finish every year, because I couldn't really go out and afford to go to the bar every night. So I would just stay at home and watch baseball. And it was awesome, but you got a lot more involved, and you kind of do the day-to-day. And, I had met a bunch of our friends at the same time, and so you're just talking about it. But as I get older, 99% of the time your teams aren't going to win the championship that year, even if they're great. Yeah, something could happen, and they're not going to win.
No, it's not going to be a happy ending.
And there's no reason to dwell on it. You can't change anything.
So you got to appreciate those conference championships and those big wins, and because otherwise, I think you just drive yourself crazy as a sports fan. And if you ever do happen to come across a championship, then you got lucky, man.
Yeah, fuck like the Patriots who won like 7 in 2 decades. That's not fair. No, and other teams aren't bad either. You get the Bruins and the Celtics. Like, fuck them.
Yeah. Fuck Boston altogether. Yeah,
those the goddamn pieces of shit.
The Red Sox. Yeah, I mean, we're fucking racist in Texas, but we're not
Boston like them.
Nah, we're not Boston racist.
No,
we're
normal racist.
We're normal, right? Yeah,
we're racist.
Right. There's a difference. We're classier with it.
Yeah, we have our pinkies out when we're drinking whiskey.
Right.
But yeah, to your point, the Rangers, I think, were eliminated from the playoffs like over the weekend. And guess what, Steve? It didn't affect me at all. And do you know why it didn't affect me at all?
Why is that?
Because we won the fucking World Series last year.
There you go.
So who cares? We could have gone 0 and 162 this year, and I would not have cared at all because I can die now with a championship. So
absolutely, I've got a couple more years banked up. I'm going to be fine. Maybe around 2027, I start to get a little antsy, but no, I'm good for a while, man.
But obviously, you do start to buy in a little bit with like this UT team, for example, where you hope it, but you do have the Georgias, the Alabamas, Ohio State still there, and Michigan was probably going to bounce back. They look like we talked about; they looked a lot better. So there's a bunch of teams out there. You know, Oregon is still really good. So,
and there's going to be all this jockeying for the playoffs. But once you get to the playoffs, I mean, that's just a whole new deal. You know, every week you're going to be playing a conference champion, a really good program. So
if you're one of the top
there's going to be a lot more variance. There's going to be a lot more variance in it than your normal little 14 playoff.
If you're one of the top 4, so I know the first round is 5 through 12. They all play each other, and whoever's the higher seed has the home game.
Right.
Is the next week, is that a home game, or is that where they go to the Fiesta Bowl?
Pretty sure that's where they go to the sites. I think so. Yeah, I don't think there's another week of home games.
So if you win the SEC this year, you don't get to have a home playoff game. You just go straight into a site. I think because it's a top 4. It's the winner of each of the Power 4 conferences. I know I keep referring to it as a Power 5. That's just habit. But it's those 4 teams. So if the team goes 6-6, but they win the ACC, they're a top 4 seed automatically.
Yeah, it's basically the top 5 conference champions. So in some crazy scenario, the ACC could go completely to shit, and who's the teams this year? Liberty and Memphis go undefeated. Then as an ACC champion, you could not make it.
I thought the 4 were guaranteed.
It's just top 5 highest ranked conference champions. But it's gonna be the 4 main, and it's gonna be one other conference champion that's gone undefeated. But
SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and ACC, right?
Yeah.
That's only 4 we have now because the Pac-12 doesn't exist until all the state schools are joining.
Right.
Did you see where the Pac-12 and Mountain West are suing each other now?
Yeah. It's wild times, man. Wild times.
It's the Wild West out here, dude.
This isn't your grandpa's college sports.
We got
guys now. We got Quinn Ewers on a commercial. Dudes in Georgia driving their Lambos 180 miles an hour. It's a new age. Gotta roll with it.
We gotta blow it all up and we've talked about this so much over the years. Just take the top 40 teams in college football and call it minor league football or something, and make school optional. I hate all the changing. I don't know about all that. Well, I mean, maybe not all of it. This is just this is where I start the plan, and then we get into it and actually do stuff.
I just want to see good games every week. Those first 3 weeks of the season, we'd be badass if you had to play, even somebody like Iowa and Florida State, just out of conference games. They would all be good. You wouldn't be playing a University of Louisiana Monroe like Texas did last week.
Yeah, I mean, we played.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
I got nothing.
Okay, you just said blow it up a minute ago, and that kind of turned my attention to the NFL and specifically the Cowboys.
So we got two problems on the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 problems are related to each other. Not exactly the same, but it's the same issue on both sides of the ball. It's the fact that we have no running game and we cannot stop the run on defense. And for all the hardos out there who are going to tell us that when I refer to the Cowboys as we and Steve refers to UT as we, get off your fucking high horse, okay? We can say we. We've been fans long enough. So
we can say whatever we want, so fuck those people.
but hey,
Our
like and
podcast.
subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Get their own goddamn podcast. I can say what the fuck they want on it.
Yeah, and I'll tell them to fuck off too.
Yeah, there you go. They can tell us to fuck off from their podcast. It's a free country, Zane.
It is. But yeah, so the running game and then the stopping the run, they cannot do it. Derrick Henry could still just run over us.
Do you like that stiff arm by Henry on the rookie cornerback?
He made him look like a little boy.
He didn't.
Like
what he
my
did
kids
to
came at
stiff
me, I
arm?
could just stiff arm them. He was just like, nope.
It's one of those where he just pile drives him straight into the ground, just straight down. It's not to knock it away from him. He basically made an offensive a tackle on offense with one hand.
It's crazy. And John and I got into it last week on the gambling episode where we talked about game script. And I knew that because we can't stop the run and we can't run the ball, that we had Dak. We had over 249 yards passing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He threw for 379 yards. And it's so clear to see that that's what the Cowboys are going to have to do just to stay in games or, get back into games, because that game was over at halftime. I know it was a 3-point game to end it. And if we had one stop, we could have potentially had the best kicker who's ever kicked in the NFL.
Yeah.
Tie the game and go to overtime. But we couldn't even stop them when we know that they're going to just run the ball right down our throats. And we can't stop anybody.
Did you see their total yards for Baltimore?
No.
So after giving up 190 to New Orleans, which is bad, they gave up 274 to Baltimore.
Rushing yards?
Yep.
274?
Yes, sir.
That is damn near unfathomable in the NFL.
It is. That's like a college stat.
Like that's hard. Well, it's not hard before you open up the conference play in college, but that's hard to do. And CeeDee Lamb is just not even a weapon anymore. I got the stats pulled up here. I mean, Dak threw 51 times. And I don't think the Ravens are all that great this year. I mean, they've got some weapons, and when you're talking about Lamar Jackson, he's always going to be a threat with his legs. I don't think he's definitely gotten better as a passer, sort of like Dak has. Yeah. But you always have to be, sort of concerned that he's just going to take off and run. And other than Micah, no one can really in the front seven can keep up with Lamar. And not that Micah can, but 274 yards is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? The draft is done and free agency is done, and there's no way to fix this.
Henry
are they going to
trade?
$50. Are they going to trade for a defensive tackle? Yeah.
I don't know.
Are they going to trade for a defensive tackle mid-season when it doesn't look good in the first place, and you're already having locker room issues, and Dak and CD are arguing? Are they on the same page? CD's saying he's rusty from not being in camp. Maybe it all shakes off. Maybe they win one and things turn around. But like you said, it's just not a winning formula. I don't see how this changes in any way.
Well, I think Jerry Jones says he's content, and we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. We couldn't afford him. So,
did you see this note that Henry's getting, I think, $7.5 million from Baltimore this year? So that is what the Cowboys are paying Trey Lance to sit on the inactive list.
Hey, if we lose our next two games, we play the Giants on Thursday this week. If we lose that game, people are going to start asking about Trey Lance.
Yeah,
and I'm not kidding.
You're probably not wrong.
Cool, we go Giants. Steelers, who are 3-0, the Lions, who are going to kick our ass, and then we got a bye week. If we lose 2 of those games, I think McCarthy's done, and the fans are going to be just clamoring for Lance.
Yeah, he may not make it through the bye week. And see if they can't put Trey Lance in there. That's ridiculous.
And then, of course, after the bye week, we go straight into the 49ers. So,
yeah, that's all.
Cowboys win
Yeah,
7 games
yeah.
this year.
I think we're seeing rock bottom. I think we might see rock bottom here.
It is rock bottom. And so, NFL, we can move on from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It frustrates me so much. You're having the opposite this year with UT, and I'm just not having a lot of fun with the Cowboys. But I've got a question for you. That the last couple of years, at least I think I want to say 3 or 4 years, if not more, ESPN has done that the doubleheader Monday Night Football games.
Yeah.
And so they didn't do one this year, but they did that Thursday, and then they did the Friday in Brazil this year, which I guess to them was like a Monday night doubleheader, even though it's not. So we had a doubleheader last night, which I'm never going to complain about having more football on my television.
Yes.
We have a doubleheader on Monday next week also.
Yeah, I think there's some explanation for this. I didn't read the article, though. I can't imagine what it would be.
Paywall.
Huh?
Was it paywalled? I know you can't afford the paywalls.
I don't know. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know. But yeah, like you said, I didn't watch much of the Buffalo game because my God, that was a destruction off the bat. Josh Allen looks incredible, and
MVP
Trevor Lawrence, maybe there's talk of him losing his job. Like the coach even made a comment about it.
Well,
that they're going to evaluate.
Yeah, it's Peterson. I mean, after like the first game of the season, he did that interview, the post game, and it sounded like he had already given up. And then watching Trevor Lawrence play ball is terrible. And they even benched him in the fourth quarter. And they brought in who'd they bring in?
He was the golden boy.
He was, but who'd they bring in though?
I don't know. I wasn't watching by that point.
Fuck. No, he was the golden boy, and I mean, he was the. I'm not going to call him Ryan Leaf. He's obviously better than Ryan Leaf, but he was the Peyton Manning. He was the Andrew Luck. He was the guy, and you can't miss. But of course, he gets the NFL, and I think they've done a decent enough job of trying to build the roster up to have like decent weapons around him. They've got Etienne, obviously. Christian Kirk isn't great, but
yeah, they drafted Brian Thomas, the LSU wide receiver, who's been good this year.
Oh, they brought in Mac Jones. Mac Jones. I want to say it was the very first play they brought in Mac Jones. He got strip sacked.
Did he fall down like a newborn giraffe?
He did. He just fell down. The ball comes out, and Buffalo recovers it on like the 20.
I mean, Mac Jones just doesn't have a chance because of the way he looks, first of all. It's got to be hard to get respect when you look like your friendly neighborhood accountant.
Hey, that being said, you and I both had no hope for Jared Goff after watching him on Hard Knocks. He's got a concave chest.
Sure, yeah.
And that guy he didn't know. He actually play a little bit.
He didn't know where the sun set, right? He didn't know the sun set.
He had to ask people, and then his final answer was, "The sun doesn't set; the Earth just rotates."
That was his final conclusion. Huh?
That's what he told the coach who asked him which direction does the sun set in. He said it doesn't; it just the Earth rotates.
Well. I guess you don't have to have book smarts to be a good quarterback every time.
Didn't that guy go to fucking Cal?
Yeah, he did go to Cal. He killed Texas this one game. We had a shootout with them. I
mean, that's a really good education school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But hey, if you can throw a ball downfield, you get to go wherever the hell you want. and not know which direction the sun sets in. That's something you learn. My kids could probably tell you which direction the sun rises and sets.
Yeah. Oh,
So
your kids are going to a good school. So the other game, did you get to watch some of Jaden Daniels last night? He was electric.
Is he legit? Are the Commanders good?
I don't know about that, but man, he looks to have everything. I mean, the guy can run, but he's a passer. He's a really good passer. He was at LSU.
You saw that throw in the end zone, like off his back foot.
Yeah,
and
to McLaurin.
Just dropped it in there.
Yep.
I mean, if he makes McLaurin look good, they're going to be good.
They got the stink of Daniel Snyder off of them, and man, they just seem, they got to be. It's like they're born again, and they're not going to be the little patsies for the Cowboys to beat up on anymore. Not that the Cowboys can beat up on anybody at this point, but
yeah, it's probably that like change of scenery philosophy that a lot of players get, where you just have to go somewhere else, and somehow that reawakens the light or the fire, I guess, that you have. And so maybe just getting rid of him just sort of took it off, and you get new coaches in there, and you get a guy like Jaden Daniels who looks phenomenal. I heard someone today say he's going to win the Heisman again this year. Me laugh.
So a couple stats I heard on that today was they have gone 2 games without punting or turning the ball over. The clock has run out on them at the end of the halves and end of the games, but they've scored every time. And the quarterbacks that have done that, so Daniels has done it now twice in his first 3 games. If you take Manning and Brady and Mahomes and Peyton Manning and combine them all, and they all had 2 of those combined.
Goodness gracious. So,
isn't that crazy?
And speaking of scoring, obviously the Cowboys gave up 44 against the Saints last week, and the Saints should have beat the Eagles this week, but the score was 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
the Saints been averaging 45 points a game, and they put up 3.
Yeah, I have no idea. Everybody expected that to be a shutout. Philadelphia had a terrible defense last year. The Saints' offense has been rocking. Are you saying Philly's a weird team?
No, I'm saying the Saints are weird. Well, Philly is a weird team. Philly just has Hurts, and they kind of go as Hurts goes. But no, the Saints, after putting up, 45 each week, or roughly, in the first 2 weeks, and then they score, 17 or whatever it was this week, but 3 in the first half. I was expecting them to... Once I saw sort of how the game flow was going, I thought, well, the Saints are going to beat the Eagles. And then, of course, the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Giants all win this week, and the Cowboys lose.
Eesh.
Which is just always great.
Yeah, the Cowboys could be in the basement if they lose the Giants Thursday.
The problem is they won't be. They'll end up winning 7 or 8 games, and they'll pick 16th in the draft, and we'll take some bullshit outside edge guy who sucks ass, and it'll be Mozzie Smith or Taco.
Oh, God, Mozzie.
I'm still upset we didn't get TJ Watt when we got fucking Taco. TJ Watt was on the board, Steve.
Oof, man.
Remember, he was on the board, and we took a guy who retired after 4 years in the NFL.
Oh, well, but drafting is not the problem there, Zane. The drafting is fine in Dallas. It's everything else.
Have you ever heard this saying before? It might be new to you, but it's Jerry, the owner, should fire Jerry, the GM. Have you ever heard that?
I've not. No, that's very clever, though. I've never heard that one.
I wrote that today, and I think it's fitting, and I think it needs to happen.
That's a bold take, my friend.
Or we need to change it, and Steve, the son, needs to kill Jerry, the dad.
Yeah, I think Charlotte should fucking kill them all and take over. She's our only hope.
Well, she's just gonna have art everywhere. She's gonna turn Jerry World into art museum.
She didn't do the art. Her mom does the art. Charlotte's the daughter.
Oh, that's right. Dean?
Huh?
It's Gene, right? That's the
Jean is the mom. Jean does the art.
Because they got the Bravo Eugenia, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy $1 billion yacht. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
So I think that's good on the NFL. I got some other things I want to jump into on that, but I don't think they're super important. But I wanted to ask you something else too about once football season starts, because I know you and I, that's sort of our that's our sport, right? I mean, we like to watch the other sports, but I think once football season starts, we kind of just dig in on football and get really focused. The first thing is, how'd you do in fantasy this week? And who'd you play?
I went 2-0 in my leagues, and you wouldn't know the people I played, so it wouldn't really matter. But pretty good week.
How many leagues are you in this year?
I am in this third league, but I don't really care about it. It's a bunch of it's a bunch of these guys on this forum that I'm in. It's kind of gay, and nobody cares about the league. I'm not even sure if I set my lineup this week, but I did play you though, didn't I?
And you won that one because you said you went undefeated, right?
Well, I did in the leagues I care about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, you kicked my ass. I'll give it to you. I think I scored 55 points this week.
I don't even know how that's possible.
I know it. And I have a good team. I have a really good team too.
I think your team is probably one of the more stacked. But you've got McCaffrey though, right?
I lost McCaffrey and Cup.
Oh yeah. Cup.
But I do have Mason. Yeah, I've lost a lot.
But I was going to ask you. So when football starts, I know we both get dug in. I was just going to ask if you got any show recommendations at the moment that you watch. Like, do you have time to watch things, and do you? And if you do, got anything?
I have not been watching much of anything. I did start something, and it's still sports related, but I started that Aaron Hernandez. Isn't that his name? Aaron Hernandez? Yeah. The docudrama or whatever it is.
Is it a documentary, or is it where they have like actors do it?
Yeah, this is the one that have actors do it. And I usually don't like those, but I'm giving this one a shot. The documentary on him is really good. I can't remember where that was. Maybe HBO. But
yeah, I watched that one. I heard this one dropped, but I haven't gotten into it yet. But I'm sure I will at some point. But yeah, once football starts, I really don't watch much. But do you watch Only Murders in the Building on Hulu?
I watched the first 2 seasons. Yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons. It's greatness, man.
You gotta, that's like one of the shows that we actually watch when we have time to do it. And I think that show's fantastic. I think Selena Gomez kind of plays too much into her little young person character because, like, she's probably about my age, maybe a couple of years younger. No one I talk to talks like she does or does what she does. What the fuck is that about? Like, that's the most unrealistic thing about the show. Not the murders. The way that she acts at things.
It's acting, but she does talk like that, though, doesn't she? Plus, you're 100 years old. You're in your 30s, and you're fucking older than I am, so...
Well, one of us has an
iPhone,
and one doesn't, so...
Huh?
You tell me. So one of us has an iPhone, and one of us doesn't know how to use one, so you tell me. Who's old?
No,
all
I'm
right.
doing
Well,
fine
that's
with
what
my Android, bud.
You can't even use a fucking Android. You probably have one of those, like, what's it called? I don't even know. One of our friends. Yeah, you probably have a flip phone. You got Jerry Jones phone.
I don't have iPhone money.
Jerry Jones money. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up this week. So thank you again for listening. For all that too, we will be back next week. This is going to be up on YouTube, so like and subscribe, and let us know how we're doing.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.